Well, I'm glad I'm doing all of this test stream because I'm already finding out some quite interesting things. Okay, so let's switch my own playback of my own stream to 160p so I don't hog any bandwidth. Actually, just pause it straight away. So thanks for pointing that out, Star Blue. Okay. So the thing I was saying when there was no audio was, okay, so I'm in my hotel room. That's difference number one. Usually I'm in my bench room, right? I am using my laptop to stream instead of my mini ATX rig because I didn't bring that with me to Taiwan for obvious reasons. I mean, the airline would have allowed me to bring 2 times 23 kilos, but my back wouldn't have allowed me to carry 2 times 23 kilos. So that's difference number two. I'm using the internal camera of the laptop because of a reason I'll come on to later, which is difference number three. And probably the thing that I should have mentioned first is that I'm using a Taiwanese 5G eSIM, so a mobile SIM, to stream this right now. Even though there's obviously Wi-Fi in the hotel, I'm doing a test to see how much bandwidth I've got there. So it's showing since the last stream restart, which obviously wasn't on the first stream restart, it is showing me 0 dropped frames. So typically at home I would be at 3 megabit. Okay, and the cool thing about OBS is this used to not be the case, but you can scale, you can switch, you can change stream output bandwidth. You can't change like canvas size, or there's a few things you can't change, but you can change output bandwidth while the stream is running. And earlier it was really poor, but I believe, strangely enough, that's because my mobile phone was trying to relay the hotel Wi-Fi. They must have changed that in Android, because it used to be the case that you could not have Wi-Fi enabled or connected to another Wi-Fi network while in hotspot mode, because the hotspot mode itself uses the Wi-Fi to make Wi-Fi available to other devices. But now it seems like you can relay Wi-Fi, which just caught me out a little bit because that used to not be the case. Okay, so that's 3 megabits, seems okay. Put it in chat if, like, all I see on my end is the drop frames. If there's some sort of other choppiness or something. Adaptive Wi-Fi, so that's what it said, what it's called. Okay, so now I'm so 6 megabit is the is actually the maximum on Twitch for non-partners. I think partners get like ad hoc agreements with Twitch for, oh, you can do 10, you can do 20, you can do whatever. But I'm affiliate, which is one step down from partner, so I get the same maximum bandwidth as just a regular Twitch user, which is 6. So I usually stream at 6, 1080p, 30 frames. I may as well go into a little bit why I do that. So my bench rigs usually are on 1080p, or actually on 1920 by 1200. Previously they were, when I had 16:10 Dell monitors, but now I exclusively use an Acer 240 hertz, which I don't, it's never really set to 240 hertz. That's really only a 3 Mark 03 thing. But yeah, so the sources I would have coming in at home would be up to 4 cameras at 4K 30p and 1 bench rig monitor at 1080p 60. So to kind of mix those sources in some way that doesn't lead to choppiness, I decide to basically throw away frames on the bench rig, because I like 60 hertz for me to look at, so I don't want to set it to 30 hertz. But I just condense it, I just throw away every second frame basically and make it 30 hertz. And that basically means that, and on the other cameras, I mean, I could set them, on the cameras, I could set them to 1080p 60 or even 120. They do 120, but it's pointless because at the end everything gets condensed down to 30 hertz anyway. So I decided to set them to 4K 30 hertz since that's what they can do in 4K. They can't do 60 hertz in 4K. I don't think, not without a crop on the sensor, and it's already a pretty. I won't get into that, but basically the way I work it out is I want an end frame rate that's 30 hertz. So the sources that I can set to 30 hertz without giving me a headache, basically I set to 30 hertz. The ones that I want at higher, which is the bench rig, I put to 60, which is like the standard frame rate, right? Or what do you even call it? In movies, you'd call it frame rate. On a PC, frame rate like implies like you're gaming and your graphics card produces a frame rate, so it would be refresh rate, right? Hertz, whatever. You know what I mean? I reduce all that to 30 hertz, and Twitch allows 4K, but since the maximum bandwidth is 6 megabit, I don't really have an encoder setting hardcore enough to still produce good enough quality at 4K at 6 megabit. So that's why I decided in 1080p. I guess I could go for it. Like 1440p would be a nice halfway house, but that means unless you want to do like scaling of the canvas. So in OBS, the actual like canvas. I don't know how else to describe it. The place where you put all of your sources, all of your outputs, and arrange them is called the canvas. And you can set the canvas to a different resolution than the actual output resolution. But I feel like 1:1 is just the way to go. And having a canvas, so if I want to stick to 1:1, having a canvas larger than 1080p is a little bit cumbersome because that just takes up more of your screen real estate, which I don't have much of anyway. And I feel like the gains wouldn't be very good. Like a lot of people watching don't have 1440 screens anyway, or 4K screens anyway, right? And already use the transcoding down to, which I believe is working today. Let me double check. Yeah, transcoding is available to like 720p and so on. Let's go 720p. Let's do a little bit of a stress test, because if I stream the thing that I can't talk about that I may stream, but it's not been determined yet, I would want output on my own monitors. So transcoding is on. That's part of the reason I'm streaming today, is because Twitch, if you haven't streamed in a long time, they actually take away your transcoding, because the transcoding is done server side, right? Like you could do client side transcoding. I think OBS supports that, but I don't know how Twitch would ingest that. I'm not sure if they have the capability of ingesting that. So the sort of standard way of doing transcoding in Twitch is to actually just deliver the highest bitrate and resolution that you want available to the end user as the only resolution and bitrate that you deliver, and then Twitch do server-side transcoding. But they because it costs like resources, right? Even though I'm affiliate, last time I streamed, transcoding was unavailable because I hadn't streamed in like 6 months. So I wanted to stream. One of the reasons I wanted to stream today was to check. Usually they give you back transcoding after one stream, but it's not guaranteed. Actually, it doesn't say it in my affiliate agreement that transcoding is like part of the benefits I get as an affiliate. It's just that from experience, I know that as long as you stream semi-regularly, they give you transcoding every single time. Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of gray area. So what was I going to say? Okay, so I sort of just described the home setup, which is 1080p canvas, 1080p output, a mix of 60 hertz and 30 hertz sources that get downsampled, whatever the term is, get chopped down into 30 hertz. So I think so basically actual output picture quality, right, is like it's a product of input picture quality certainly, but also basically how many megabits you give to each frame, kind of thing. That's the other reason, because I could have like done it the other way around. I could have kept the stream at 60 hertz and had my 30 hertz sources like super sampled or whatever the term would be, upsampled. um, but actually, you're basically taking away quality from each frame, because the maximum. I better have zero drop frame, so I'm going to up it by 500 kilobits more. So now it's 3.5 up to 4. You won't see, you guys won't notice a difference anyway, because I feel, well, or very, if you notice a difference, it'll be very slight, because I'm using my internal like built-in camera. I'll talk about that later. So the actual native picture quality of that is a bit limited. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. So obviously, in terms of video quality, what goes into it is the input video quality, but after that, it's the encoder you use for sure. So I'm using software X264 encoding, which is sort of known to be one of the better ones, maybe even the best one. But that's at the expense of CPU cycles, right? I don't know if I could have. So there's different presets, and I'm currently using the most hardcore preset, which is fast. There's also faster, very fast, super fast, and ultra fast. I'm not seeing any encoder side drop frames, so that's good. My laptop, I talked about it last stream because I was mobile benching, but my laptop is 8-core 16-thread Zen 5, so I'm not surprised that it's keeping up quite nicely. I'm seeing an average CPU utilization of 13% in OBS, but that's my browsers and stuff as well, right? So that's pretty acceptable. The fan is spinning all the time, but if I am going to be streaming the thing that I may be streaming that I can't talk about, the setup would be that I have external monitors, an external mouse and keyboard, and a dock. I brought my own dock actually, so I then would be able to place the microphone quite far away from the fan on the laptop, because the only reason the laptop is close to me now, well, first of all, because the table is so small, but also because I don't have an external keyboard attached, because you don't want to be like reaching like this, you know? So once I have an external keyboard, I can basically place the laptop wherever. And once I'm not relying on the inbuilt monitor anymore, or not as much, like if it's a third monitor, I don't care if that's placed quite far away. I then can basically have the laptop. I mean, I can enable noise suppression as well, right? But basically, talking best case scenario, as a bird just lands on the ledge, on the window ledge of my hotel. Hi, bird. That was random. I can then basically place the laptop and the table will be bigger, right? Place the laptop as far away as I want, and then I don't really care if the fan is spinning 100% because I'm using a pretty high encoder setting. Yeah, 4K 60 is really demanding. Right, not center. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me configure that. I was going to talk about that. So, okay. Let's talk about, since you bring it up, let's talk about the audio, right? So, if I'm going to be streaming the thing that I might be streaming that I can't talk about, I'm going to have two mics because I'm going to have two people at certain points in time. I'm trying to be as vague as possible. So there's like two different ways you can mix the mics in, and I think the way that I'm mixing it currently is maybe a bit annoying for the viewer because it's like you say, it's left ear, right ear. So I have two identical mics. They're Audio-Technica E935 vocal mics, XLR mics, if anyone's interested. I'm not doing any singing, don't worry. It's just that vocal mics are also quite good for spoken word, right? So two identical mics, and currently I'm mixing them in. Since a microphone typically is, in a true sense, it's actually a mono source. There is such a thing as a stereo mic, but they're not as common as you might think. One idea would be, and I think it's the wrong idea, but if there's two people talking, one idea would be to put one how do I demonstrate this? Put one person in the right channel, and another person in the left channel. So this is the right channel. Now let's put the mic as far away as possible. This is the left channel. Oh no, the other way around. I think the way it's looking, it's showing up in my mixer, that's the other way around. But you get the idea. To separate the people like that, to give the listener, how do I place this mic without it falling off my table? To give the listener an audible cue as to who is speaking. But that obviously then means if at certain points it's only me talking, do I then go to the trouble of changing the audio mix such that I mute the other mic, obviously, right? And I change the audio mix such that the mono output of my single mic, since I don't need a second mic anymore because it's just me talking, gets duplicated on both ears. I think I was going to say that's open for discussion. So now if I advanced audio settings, how do I do this? Because there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Styles active, balance, left, right, monitor off. Yeah, I believe. So here's the interesting thing: the way that you make a mono signal stereo is to set the mono flag, which feels a bit counterproductive, right? But it makes sense. It's setting the mono flag is giving OBS the information that the input signal you're looking at is mono, and therefore it makes sense for OBS to duplicate it onto both ears, both channels. So now it's both channels. You should hear some sort of a difference. Now the thing becomes, how does that sound like when I bring the second mic back in? Okay, how do I do that? I think it just do. I think I'll just stop talking about audio, but I think you get the idea. I think what ends up happening is it just does a 50-50 mix. Like both channels are the same, right? Both microphones are put on both channels. And then it's just a question of who talks. Hopefully we wouldn't be talking over each other in some sort of argumentative way, but then it becomes a question of who talks louder. It basically is more prominent in the mix, right? Because you no longer have the left-right split. Just mono sounds worse than centered stereo. Slightly off from the center. I understand what you're asking, for sure. Right now, the answer is I can't do it. No, I can. This is interesting. I love audio. I actually love audio, so getting into the nitty gritty of this is amazing. Okay, leave it with me. Maybe that's something for test stream number 2. So, maybe just in the interest of just understanding why I can't do it now. My audio interface. Oh, can I go to kit.co? Kit.co. Streaming setup. Yeah, where did I? Oh no! I need to launch Stream Deck. Oh wow, it took out all of my USB devices. Because that's how audio dropped earlier, was because my dock acted up, but it actually took out my stream deck as well, which is interesting. Okay, for the sake of the stream, I need to figure out why the dock is so picky. But for the sake of this stream, I'm gonna directly connect the stream deck mini, because I just wanted to switch scenes. Yeah, it's booting up. It is booted up. Nice. I wanted to switch switch scenes, and that's what I do with my stream deck. But it didn't react because it wasn't on, because it was connected to my dock. Okay, now let's go. So this is where we're at right now. This is the browser. Is it the browser? Okay, not that browser window. Oh, Streamception. Oh no. Let me configure that. I want, because I have two different browsers open. That's the confusion. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'll talk about the cameras later. Yeah. Okay. So this is the audio interface I've got, right? It's Steinberg, and Steinberg's great. Steinberg is great, but one of the issues is not an issue actually. Why is this so big? You guys should be able to see that. Oh, my face cam is in the way. What I'm MIDI out. Oh, it does have MIDI out. So what I'm covering is. Oh, can I? Is there a way of moving it to the left? I guess if I make it smaller. I don't know if I do this. I don't know why that's so hard for that to load up. Refuses to load up. Okay. Let me scale it to the scale where you can just about still see everything. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so so you've got your two mic ins at the front, right? Then you've got. I'm trying to remember if. Oh yeah, you can see my mouse pointer. Haven't done this in a while. So you've got your two inputs. You've got independent gain, right? Volume basically for the two mics. That's fine. Then there's a mono switch. Which, do I have that engaged? That's actually a good question. What if this might fuck up my audio. Let's see. Check 1, 2. It doesn't do anything anyway. Oh, because I have it separately remonoed in OBS. Okay. What about now? Yeah. I don't know. Okay, let me go through the mono. I'm going back to mono. Let me go through the interface and then I'll go back to what the problem statement is basically. Okay, so you've got your input gains, your two inputs. High Z is for like an electric guitar, which is obviously doesn't apply here. And then you've got your mix for the output, which I'll get to later, which is, so there's two sets of outputs. There is, well, three sets of outputs. There's MIDI at the back. I don't use that. Then you've got your power source here, which currently I'm driving off of USB-C only. You can also drive it off of wall power if you need that, if your microphones are like power hungry, which mine are not. And then there's the main out, which can go to studio monitors, which is what I use at home in my bench room. And then there's a main output volume dial here, which is for the studio monitors if they are connected. And then here's the phones out. All that to say, it's a pretty small I need a cough button. Anyway, it's a pretty small audio interface, and one of the things it does by default is it actually pre-mixes the two microphones into one uh, logical audio input in Windows, which then obviously I can feed into OBS. So if I look at my microphones in OBS, it's a single input for both microphones. So it's like a summing. It's a summing. If I'm in mono mode, it's a summing of the two microphones. If I'm in stereo mode, it's one microphone per channel. So that's why I set it to mono. So you do want it in stereo. Okay, I'll put it back in stereo. I don't really care. Okay, so now, maybe, okay, since I've kind of concluded the experiment with the two microphones, maybe what I do is I turn down the gain of one microphone. So this is single, one ear now, right? So if I now disengage the mono switch, that didn't really do anything. Yeah, that didn't do anything. Okay, like I say, it's still a test stream. So what I would have to do, which I don't think I can do while the stream is live, what I would have to do is, by default, the audio interface presents both microphones on one input, either separated out onto the separate channels or summed in mono. Obviously, since the two inputs are pre-combined into one audio input in Windows, OBS can't then pull that apart anymore, right? Easily. I mean, I'm sure you could get AI or whatever, but let's not get into that. So then, that means, I believe if I do want the inputs to be separated, I may have to install like the digital audio, the DAW, digital audio workstation software by Steinberg as like a third-party software to then basically send a signal to the audio interface to reconfigure the inputs, because by default they're summed. So next stream I'm going to have that, I think, but I don't think I can add this piece of Steinberg software into the path right now without like fucking something up. Whew, that was a long discussion about audio. Okay, but I'll actually, you know what? I'll actually make a note live on air. So Taiwan test stream 1 to do. So virtual stereo position. Yeah, I'm sure there are ways of doing it. I just hadn't thought of it so far. Star Blue, are you a bencher? I just don't recognize you. You can stay anonymous if you want, but if you're like on HiRobot, share your username or whatever. Links are enabled in chat, so you can post whatever. Please no like porn or whatever, but you know what I mean. You can post your HiRobot profile. Okay. So if I'm understanding your request correctly, what you would like is, okay, so each individual mic would be, because right now I can do hard left, hard right, or some stereo. So what you would like is mic 1 equals slightly off center positioning to the right, mic 2 center, let's call it stereo positioning to be completely clear, mic 2 slightly off center stereo positioning to the left. Shout if this is not what you want, but I think that's how I picked up your request. Enthusiast is good. It's nice to be enthusiastic about things. Okay, so now let's go. It is great. Thanks for confirming. So now that's definitely to do, and that's definitely something that's possible. In all of this time, So I'm at 4 Mbit. In all of this time, I've only had 236 dropped frames. I wonder if those were really internet related, but let's try to go up 500 kilobits anyway, and see what happens. So 236 is the number. Okay. I was new. Hi Salty. Okay. I don't have a huge amount of time, so it's 6:20 a.m. now, and I have to meet some people for a hike at 8. I haven't had breakfast. I haven't had a shower, and to get to the hike is like half an hour. So basically, I have like at most half an hour, 40 minutes left on the stream. Okay. It dropped frames when switching to browser capture. That sounds like a resource thing, like a CPU thing then. Not necessarily an internet thing. Okay, we're holding steady at 236. Okay, Salty, welcome to the stream. Okay, let me do a little bit of show and tell. Well, let me first take a little bit of water. Or maybe the drop frames were when I switched to the browser capture initially, when it was set to my Twitch tab, which is obviously hard to capture since it's a capture of what is currently going on. Okay, so yeah, let's just keep a monitor on that. Okay, show and tell. Okay, how do we start this? So I arrived into Taiwan early morning yesterday, so like 24 hours ago. I dropped my bags at the hotel, had breakfast, and then I went to Gigabyte HQ to hang out with some friends, and I went for lunch. I hope they don't mind me saying this. Someone from Corsair was there. Then the person knows who they are. I'm not going to say the name, just in case that's somehow like sensitive. And Corsair paid for lunch, so that was great. And lunch was. How can I copy? Because I don't have desktop capture enabled, I want to be able to show a picture from like a group chat without actually opening the group chat. Browsers can open local files, right? Am I going crazy? Let's see. If I now go onto my file system and go like right click open with, hello Microsoft Windows Explorer, can you please open the folder that I'm opening? Right click, open with Firefox. Boom, okay. And now I do scene switch. Okay, so this is lunch with Corsair and some benchers and Gigabyte yesterday. Notice the Taiwanese person wearing lederhosen. I love it because I'm Bavarian. That's just all kinds of fucked up, but I'm not accusing them of cultural appropriation or anything, but I just find it funny. So lots of meat, some beers. What else was there? There was some rice as well because you gotta have rice in Taiwan, even at a Bavarian place. Even that's the least Bavarian thing in the world. So from left to right we have Team AU, I should say. His actual name is Young Pro. His actual Hyrobot nick, but he doesn't sub under that account. He subs under the Team AU account. So Young Pro, aka Team AU, on the left. Sophos next to that from Corsair. Zarok77, an Aussie venture, next to that. Then there's me, obviously, with my stupid fucking face. And on the very right, Hi Cookie from Gigabyte. Yes, that was lunch. I sound like you're still asleep. Well, you're a first-time chatter, so I'll give you some leeway. But it is. I started streaming at like 5:30 a.m. Taiwan time, so I think I'm allowed. I'm allowed the leeway of sounding whatever fucking way I want to sound because I'm tired and it's early in the morning and I haven't had coffee yet, and also I'm trying to keep my voice down because I'm in a hotel and I'm trying to be courteous towards other guests. I'm not sure how thick or thin the walls are, and I'm trying to keep the voice down while still being able to stream and you hearing me and all that. Okay, so that was lunch. So now, at lunch or before lunch, I got a thermos from Corsair. Thank you, Corsair. Um, I need to. I need to see. It's a little bit on the weighty side. I like the 500 ml thermoses. This is more of a. I guess this is a 100, one liter or 750 ml. It's a little bit heavy in the hand. I wouldn't want to be pouring with this all day long. I feel like this is more of a 3D thermos where you want more capacity because cards chug it. So that's item one of the show and tell. I also got. I won't say where this came from, but you can probably guess where this came from. I got a 9900 X3D, so that'll be nice for 12 core globals. It still kind of confuses me a little bit because I'm still sort of stuck in that mindset of X3D not clocking very well. So I'm like, why are X3D chips all over the rankings? But now they basically clock the same as the non-X3D chip with extra cache, so that kind of means that they're gonna win out against the non-X3D in every category, in every bench. So new in box, it is a pretty new batch. It's from like March of this year, so well that makes sense because they've only been recently released, right? So that's that. So yeah, thermos. I'm going through things methodically. Thermos, AM5 chip. Then I've got. This is what I brought with me actually. May as well show this. This is going to the US. So someone that I know, that I stream with a lot, doesn't have any good Samis, so I've got some. I think that's going to focus. Yeah, that's good. Some Tridents. So these are 2400 C10 Tridents. And this is an even worse spin of Sami. I don't know how well this is going to go, but this is Corsair Dominator 91110. It's from a quad kit, but I only have 2 sticks. 2133 bin. So that's pretty bad, Sami. RAM right there. And then what I'm trying to sell, in terms of Corsair Hypers, I have 3 sticks of GTX 2s, and then 2 sticks of 2000 C7. So that's 5 sticks. That should be enough, right? I'm trying to give away my 3rd kit, basically. Not give away, probably sell, which is the well-known bin, which is still nice. These are from a triple kit, 2000 C8. So I don't mind if I don't sell these, but if someone in Taiwan or someone who knows someone in Taiwan knows that person that they know in Taiwan needs hypers, then tell them to contact me, because I feel like 7, considering how little I use hypers, actually 7 sticks is a bit excessive. 5 I think is fine. Okay, I'm trying to. 4K 60 is really demanding. Yeah, that's true. Okay, what other show and tell is there? I've got. So what I picked up yesterday in the market. Oh, I should. Okay, drop frames are staying constant. Let's go up another 500 kilobit. Okay, I'm just waiting for the frame or the output to go up. So okay. Yeah, I know. I was just pointing because I think you, I see that guy. I think you may have missed the start of the stream where I talked about why I'm trying to keep my voice low. Okay, so what was the next thing I was going to do? Oh yeah, I went to the electronics market and I forgot my HDMI splitter at home. But the HDMI splitter I have is a matrix. It's not a splitter, so you can both do um, input switching and output switching and splitting um, and combining. I don't think it can do combining. How would that work? But it can do. That's why it's called a matrix, because it can do all operations. It can do many to one to many, and one to like it has four on each side. It has four in, four out. So you can have one input duplicated four times, or you can have the opposite, which is like um, four inputs switched into one output, you know, and all things in between, four into two, four into three, four into four, which isn't very exciting. One into four, one into three. You get the idea. But it's quite bulky and it has its own power brick. So in a way, I'm kind of not really happy, but it's like a happy accident that I I didn't bring it. So I bought some true like compact HDMI splitters that do only one job. One is to two. So the one that I have is like this size and has its own power brick. These are micro USB powered instead of power brick. So you have the option of running them off of like a laptop even, which I'm going to demonstrate because why not? Yeah, so it just lights up to let you know that there's power there. Um, Sorry, I just need to adjust my AC. It's just gotten really cold for some reason, like out of nowhere. 1 minute. Hotel air conditioning, eh? It never quite works the way you expect it to work. And now why is my face blown out? Come on, adjust this exposure, internal camera. There you go. So really light, compact. Um, it claims to have only 10.2 Gs of HDMI 1.4, so it's limited to 1080p, which is fine. Um, I'll have to see if I need to switch my cameras down to 1080p for my usual 4K 30 setting, or if the splitter can do some sort of like either it can do more bandwidth than it claims to be able to do, or does some kind of downscaling, which I feel like isn't really very likely. Um, so yeah, two of those to go with two cameras, which I'm currently not using because I don't have a capture card. I brought my capture card. Not, I don't know if I've used this on stream before or shown this on stream before, but this is a Blackmagic Decklink Quad HDMI, actively cooled PCI 3.0 8X. So that's where the splitters come in at home. I don't have pass through. A lot of capture cards have pass through, so you don't need a splitter because they pass through the signal to a monitor that's in front of you, as well as ingesting the signal. I don't have pass through here because there's no space on the I/O. I guess they could make a second revision that's dual two slot in height and then has pass through for all four. But I don't think that's what they're really aiming for. So in order to uh, where's my cables? How can I demonstrate this? I think you get the idea. To be able to basically manufacture pass through, you would put the splitter ahead of the capture card, have one of the split signals go in and another one to a monitor, right? That's the whole point of having a splitter. And I would do this So typically, if I'm going to be streaming this thing that I say I can't tell you about yet and can't mention by name, then what I would do is with the four inputs, I would have um, two computer systems going to input 1 and 2, let's say, have both of them split ahead of that. So I'm not sure if will have enough monitors to have a monitor of both, but I would certainly do something with a signal, like combine it onto one monitor somehow, or I don't know how. That's all up for debate. But yeah, so imagine two other rigs over here, HDMI out into both splitters, one split signal into the capture card, two more HDMI cables out of that, going somewhere where I can look at it, and the other two inputs will be for my cameras, which I'll show now. I didn't bring like a full-size tripod, but I brought some mini tripods, so that's a start. That's useful. So I'm usually, it's kind of good that I don't have a capture card today that's working, that's operable, because it means I can show my cameras, which I never can because they're always being used for the stream. Two GH5 mirrorless cameras. Let's flip out the screen on both. So in a way, you don't need pass-through for cameras because they have a flippy screen on them. You know, that's and you can, I mean, you're capturing it, right? So you also see it in OBS. So for focus and stuff like that, I would use OBS because it's bigger. But when I'm setting them up, I can just use the flippy screen. It's got dummy power, so the battery never runs out. It always asks me to set the clock, which is kind of weird. Oh, no memory card. There you go. Typically, where's the thing that I'm looking for? Just to show you guys, because I never get to show. This is really heavy, actually. This is a good lens. Well, it's up for debate as to whether it's a good lens, but it's a heavy lens. Typically, I don't have the flip screen out because, so you can have it up against the back, or you can have it like this, so like out like that. And what I do is I don't want to tear so it's got a full-size HDMI. You don't want to tear your ports out, so what you do is you put, I don't know if this is interesting to you guys, but what you do is you put a cable protector on, or a cable management system. Harder than you think. It's like a little cage that attaches to the side of the camera. Then you grab an HDMI cable. Of course, it makes it harder to actually find the port, and it just sort of stops the cable from bending at any point. I don't know if you can see that. It just means you're not damaging. You have less chance of damaging your HDMI port, but because it's on the same side as the camera as the flippy screen, it means you can't do this anymore. So pros and cons. Actually, usually there's a little clip that clips in that makes the cable even more secure in the socket. I think you guys get the idea. So yeah, I obviously don't capture onto the SD card in there or whatever. I just go straight out of the HDMI port. So this will be the face cam. So this is like a normal lens. All the sizes are not 35mm because it's micro four thirds, so you have to multiply by 2. So this is an 18 f/0.95 lens. So that would be a 36mm. In 35mm terms, that would be 36mm, and I think you lose a stop of light or something. So 36 f/1.8, something like that. I mean, That's a really complicated subject. You don't actually lose a stop of light. You get it through f 0.95, but in terms of depth of field, it's something like one stop. So you like the depth of field equivalent would be like f1.8. Yeah, so that is my face cam. Sorry, I really might be coming down with something, which is not ideal. This is going to be my like backup, like second camera. It's the same model, whatever, same ideas with everything. But the lens on there is you can see it's really tiny because it's a wide angle, so it's a Laowa. The other one was a Laowa as well. I love Laowa. Laowa 10mm f2.0. And I feel like it's not wide enough to capture a big room. I'm thinking of maybe, I know they're expensive, but maybe getting an 8mm. So this is like a 20mm equivalent. So it's like it's kind of like a medium to ultra wide. It's not quite, I wouldn't call it ultra wide. It's like on the wide end of normal wide, like middle of the road wide. If that makes any sense. But there's a Laowa 7.5 and I had a list made. Where's my list? Where's my phone? Hopefully this doesn't disturb the stream. There's a Laowa 6mm, which is quite expensive. There's a Laowa 7.5. So 12mm and 35mm terms, like that's a true ultra wide. There's a 7.5 and there's a Mica 8. So I would want, let me turn off my alarm. I would want something wider. There's a 9mm as well, but like only 2mm wider. It doesn't really feel like that's getting me anything. I would want 8mm or wider, so 35mm terms, 16mm or wider. 16, somewhere between 12 and 16. So there's a 12mm equivalent. What's 7.5 times 2? A 15mm equivalent and a 16mm equivalent. Those are the three options for me, but they're all quite expensive. I'll have to see what the prices are like in Taiwan. If I can maybe get it used or something. Okay, let's ban this bot. Let me ban this damn thing. Yay, okay. Alright, so that's the cameras. Let's talk about everything that comes along with that. So I think this is a 15 or a 20 meter HDMI cable, which is kind of your mileage will vary as to how long of a run of HDMI you can run before the signal degrades. You wouldn't be able to run 8K through this. I think the limit for 8K is really low, like 5 meters or even lower, or 3 meters. But for 1080p 60 or 1080p 30 is probably what I'll be doing with my cameras. You can certainly run 15 meters, not millimeters, 15 meters. Where's my little attachment? And you can passively extend HDMI, so that makes it 30. I don't know if I want to go that long. It feels like that would actually just degrade. But yeah, so these are 8K cables actually. I usually use these for my Blu-ray player and my gaming console. These are really nice braided 8K, I think 3 meter cables. So I've got 2 of those, 15 meters of this. With the 2 cameras, or with the 2 rig capture inputs, I would want at least another one of these. And then with the cameras, I'm not duplicating the cameras, but I need another couple of runs of these for the dupe run of that. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Yeah, so capture card. How are we doing on time? I'm really not dropped some frames. Okay, was that during? during input switching. I'll have to monitor that. Actually, because we are running short on time, I'm just going to go to the maximum now and see how we do on drop frames. 336 is the current count. Okay, so at home, what I do is I have a mini ATX system, and this is in one of the PCIe slots, and I have a separate capture card for the rig, so I can actually run 5 total inputs, 4 cameras, and 1 rig. My initial idea was I have a mini ITX case at home, and via riser cards I would have been able to put in this card, but I ran out of time in terms of setting up that rig. I didn't find a cooler thin enough to fit in the case without keeping the side open, and also I was having trouble getting the riser card and everything set up, so I wasn't able. Yeah, it was just I ran out of time, basically, is the long and the short of that. I was packing and I was like, okay, this is not happening. So I decided to bring the capture card, thinking that maybe I can get an eGPU enclosure, like a USB 4 eGPU enclosure. But you'd think that's easy, but it's a lot harder to find them here and find the right one. And it's only day 2, right? Maybe I can find one this afternoon. It's hard to find one. It's hard to find one at the right price. But a lot of them, even though they have 16x physical PCIe slots in them, they only present 4 lanes of PCI 3.0 electrically, basically, or bandwidth wise. And some of them are PCI 4.0, I think, but it still ends up being just 4 lanes. And this card is physically 8. I don't know how that would go. I don't know if it would even be recognized, and how it would go if all 4 inputs are occupied. So I have some thinking to do. Now it is a 4K capture card, so I don't know how the chip on here, like the controller or the SoC or whatever, how that decides things, like how that decides when to drop the signal, when to refuse to capture anything. If I have 4 times 1080p going into a 4K capture card, does that then mean that I don't really need 8 lanes? Or does it just insist on 8 lanes regardless of what the inputs are? That's where I'm hesitant to spend money on. I mean, I can always return, right? Spend money on an eGPU enclosure, but that would be like the royal, the king, the optimal, the best of the best solution would be some stable way of putting this into an eGPU enclosure and then just fully running the card. But I forgot how many things go into it, because hey, that guy, the lenses I'm talking about are not fisheye, they're rectilinear. Does that answer your question? If you don't know what that means, look up the definition of rectilinear and the definition of fisheye. You're right, there are many lenses below like 8mm on Micro Four Thirds that are fisheye, but you can get non-fisheye, aka rectilinear lenses, and the lenses I'm talking about are rectilinear. So no fisheye effect. What I also sort of forgot about was, so this has no external, the USB port on here or whatever is just for firmware updates or whatever. The end user doesn't use it, so this has no external power. But it still needs power via the PCIe slot, obviously. I kind of forgot that eGPU enclosures have PSUs in them. Obviously, now it makes sense, right? How are you going to feed the 8 pins or the 12 pins or whatever? But naively, I was like, oh, an eGPU enclosure is just a slot and a USB-C port, and that's it. No, a lot more goes into it. So if I need to capture, I'm aiming to capture 4 inputs. I'm either going to have to find a way of running this card with a laptop, or two dual USB. I don't think I have the ports to run four single 1080p USB capture cards, so I'll have to find two dual input USB capture cards. That sounds like a nightmare. I think I'm gonna have to end the stream here. I need to get ready and go to this thing. Any last questions or whatever? There's one more topic I'm going to talk about really, really, really briefly. So like I was talking about, my interface has. You can probably see it better in these pictures. No, I don't want to find a dealer. Where's the actual picture of the actual thing? Oh yeah, here. So it's got a 1/4 inch out for monitoring, right? Now, if I'm going to be streaming with a second person, I want us both to be able to monitor on passive headphones connected. But this is a small audio interface, so it only has one headphone out. Bigger ones have two headphone outs with individual volume controls. So I have a decision to be made about whether I want to get a bigger audio interface with two monitoring headphone outs with independent volume controls, or I get a 1/4 inch to 2/4 inch splitter, which I was looking for yesterday and nobody knew. Everyone was like, "Go on Amazon." And naively I thought that I could get, this works, right? This is like a $3 3.5 millimeter to dual 3.5 millimeter splitter, but the headphones I have they're a little bit too power hungry, essentially, to be fed by 3.5 millimeter that has been split once, so I don't get a signal through this. Like if I use my IEMs, my in-ears, I can get, and I connect to the laptop, I can get a split, no problem. This adapter is not faulty. It's just that connecting. This is what I bought yesterday. This is the grand finale of this stream. I'm a little bit insane, I know. One white, one black. I'll take the white one out, and then you can just imagine everything in black. Okay, I just don't have the time for me to show both headphones. Okay, so this is like an unboxing. Isn't that great? So you open the box thusly. Then you've got your headphones. The cable is removable. And then in the box you've got a little pouch, and natively all of the cables are 3.5. So you've got a few different lengths of cable. I don't know if people are into head-fi here. I'm probably boring people to absolute tears. What was that comment? When can we expect the next stream? Same time tomorrow, 24 hours from now. So they give you the option of one of these. I don't know if I'm into that, to be honest. I think that's out. And then they have like two different lengths, I think. I haven't checked this yet. I was a little bit surprised that they had two of the same, but I think it's just two different lengths. So let's check on that. Yeah, just two different lengths. So I'm guessing that's like 1.5 meter or 3 meter is a guess. I could just look up the manual, but you know I'm lazy. Is that about right? Let's see. Nah, still smaller. Yeah, okay, so it's like 1.5 meter and like 5 meter or something like that. So for the purposes of this stream, since I'm really close to the audio interface, and what I really like is the conversion to 1/4 inch. So this doesn't have a conversion. That's the other thing you can't screw in. Okay, so I am forced to use the longer one. The conversion to 1/4 inch is via screw in rather than, usually it's a click in. What would you call that? So it's screw in rather than the other system. I think you get what I mean. So that's screw in. That's great. TRS I think is the if you're trying to avoid imperial units, TRS I think is the correct term for that. But I just call it 1/4 inch because I'm old school. So it clicks in like that. You align these two lines to get a good connection, and then you've obviously got your there's branding even. You've got your touch adjustment up here. That feels like a good fit, and it's got passive noise cancelling. Obviously there would have to be like a battery inside if you wanted active noise cancelling, but I'm fine with passive. I like passive noise cancelling. Fuck batteries in headsets. So now I've got to find the hole, which is always harder than you think it is. Okay, how's that looking? And I need to up my volume. Check 1 2. Okay. So now I'm monitoring myself, which is a little bit weird. I've streamed for 7 years without ever monitoring myself, my own audio. I think the time has come though, because if I'm going to be streaming the thing that I think I might be streaming, which I can't talk about, it's going to be a noisy environment. So I want passive noise for cancelling, and I want monitoring of my own voice. And then the next level will be a second person with a second set of headphones. I'm not taking them out. It's literally the same thing, just in black instead of white. Who I would like to have. I would like them to have the ability to also monitor themselves. And I'm currently sort of trying to work out: do I spend money on that? Do I use the cheap solution of like splitting the audio just with an adapter, or do I get an audio interface with a second out? Now I'm running really late. It's been like an hour and a half. I didn't think I could do a hotel stream without any benching it for an hour and a half, but it's been fun, guys. Okay, the volume's a little bit high. I'm sort of deafening myself. Okay, and I'm hearing a lot of noise. Okay, I think that's a little bit better now. I can still hear it. All fun and games. So I love my Steinberg, but was there a show and tell that I forgot? No, I think I've literally gone through everything. There are boxes everywhere. Oh, I do have some things left over for tomorrow, but I really need to go. I'm really hungry, and I'm doing a hike in an hour, and it's in a half an hour to get there. La-di-da. Okay, there's a few things I need to test tomorrow. I'll put them on the to-do list. But yeah, this is me streaming at the highest audio setting available in OBS on the slowest encoder available in OBS right now, at the highest bitrate that Twitch allows, which is 6 megabit, using a 5G card. If this holds up, it's gonna be great. Okay, I really need to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.